A millionaire CEO discovers twin girls cleaning his exclusive gym, and his world shatters when their heartbreaking secret comes to light. Welcome back, my dear family, to Beyond Color Stories. If you've been with me daily, you know how deeply I invest my heart in each tale. But here's the truth. If every story doesn't get your likes, the YouTube algorithm could bury this channel, and soon I might be gone. So please, I'm asking you, hit that like button on every video and comment. We are James's family to show your love and support. I'm going through a rough patch, and your encouragement means everything. I promise I'll never let you down. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Let's jump right into today's story. Golden sunlight spilled over Manhattan's towering skyline, flooding night's elite gym with warmth. This was a sanctuary of wealth, where sculpted bodies mirrored impeccable reputations. Polished floors gleamed beneath state-of-the-art machines, while sharply dressed staff attended with precision. Every detail whispered excellence, even the scent, a blend of imported eucalyptus and fine leather. Aiden Knight, billionaire CEO and owner of this empire, strode in as usual, tall, sharp-jawed, his steel gray suit fitting like armor, and a black Rolex gleaming in the light. Known for his perfectionism, relentless drive, and icy demeanor, the gym was his fortress of control. Nothing unusual ever escaped his notice. But that morning, something halted him mid-step before the glass office doors. In a corner near a row of treadmills, he saw two tiny figures crouched on the cold floor. They were neither staff nor members. Squinting, his heart inexplicably tightened, as if his body sensed a truth his mind hadn't caught yet. As he approached, the details became clear. Two barefoot little girls, no older than 6, clutching grimy rags. Their oversized janitor uniforms swallowed their frail frames, and their unkempt dark ponytails hadn't seen a brush in days. Their small hands worked tirelessly, scrubbing with a determination far beyond their years. Bent backs, red-chapped fingers from cold water and harsh cleaners, they neither spoke nor complained. They just cleaned. Aiden's breath caught as he silently watched, time stretching painfully long. One girl suddenly glanced up, sensing his presence. Her eyes were large, soulful, and lined with a pain no child should carry. The other twin quickly averted her gaze, fearful of being caught. Aiden stepped closer, his usual commanding tone softening into something almost tender. Hospital. Hey, little girls, why are you working here? His words hung heavy with disbelief and concern. The first girl stood carefully on the slick floor, clutching her sister's hand tightly for courage. Then, meeting Aiden's gaze, she answered softly, "Our mommy is in the hospital." "I see you." Aiden felt the ground shift beneath him as the weight of her words hit deeper than he expected. No tears, no pleading, just raw, painful truth. And those eyes, they stirred a haunting familiarity deep inside. He knelt slowly to their level. The girls stayed still. The smaller, bolder twin reached into her oversized shirt pocket and pulled out a worn, folded piece of paper, extending it silently. Aiden took it with puzzled fingers. The paper held an old, crumpled photo, colors faded, his breath locked in his throat. It was him. The photo showed Aiden 7 years younger, smiling in a shirt he barely recalled, standing next to a woman with sleepy eyes and a heart-shaped face, her head leaning on his shoulder, a secret smile playing on her lips. He remembered that night, the unforgettable night he met a woman who changed everything, only to vanish without explanation. He stared from the photo to the girls. Those eyes, that chin, the way they carried themselves. It was all unmistakably his. A shiver ran through him as he looked deeper, sensing the truth before they spoke it. "Where's your father?" His voice cracked. A man losing control for the first time. The bold twins' wide eyes held no fear now. "We were told he was far away. We didn't know until we found this picture." The softer twin added, "We found it in Mommy's old purse, then saw you here, and we knew." Aiden's heart clenched, breath trembling. For a moment he was drowning in guilt, memories, and raw emotion. "You're saying," he whispered, "I'm your daddy." The twins nodded slowly, unsure if it was okay to call him that yet. Tears welled unexpectedly in Aiden's eyes. The formidable Aiden Knight, feared and respected, now knelt barefoot on the gym floor, before two tiny angels who had changed his life forever. Around him, the gym vanished. There was only them and the crushing weight of years lost. "Take me to your mommy," he said hoarsely, wiping his face as fresh tears slipped free. The girls nodded, slipping their small hands into his. Holding on to them felt like clutching lifelines, the photo still trembling in his grasp. As they let him out, Aiden felt like a stranger to his own life. The man who entered was gone. What remained was a father broken by regret, awakened by love, desperate to repair a past fate had torn apart. The sleek black car was filled with silence. Not awkwardness, but emotions too heavy for words. Aiden sat between the two girls, Emma and Mira. Their names whispered quietly during the ride. Both leaned against the back seat, faces pressed to the window, watching the city blur by. Aiden didn't know what to say, afraid even his breath might shatter the fragile new connection between them. Yet a storm of thoughts churned. How had Marina, the only woman who ever truly haunted him, borne this burden alone? Why hadn't he searched harder? Why hadn't he fought when she disappeared after that night? His jaw clenched as her laughter echoed in his mind. The scent of her hair, the tremble in her voice whispering her name beneath moonlight. And now here he was, beside the living proof of his abandonment. Two little hearts who deserved so much more. He swallowed hard, turning slowly to them. In a voice fragile yet steel strong, he asked again, not because he hadn't heard, but because he needed to believe it fully. "You said, 'I'm your daddy?'" The twins turned toward him and answered together, soft but sure. "You're our daddy." The words pierced deeper than he thought possible, tightening his chest with emotions long buried. Raw, painful, but beautiful. His hand reached out, trembling as he brushed a stray lock of Emma's hair from her forehead. She didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned into his palm like a flower toward sunlight. That small gesture broke him. He turned his face toward the window for a moment, ashamed of tears he no longer could hide, then whispered, "But how?" Not to doubt, but to understand the scope of everything lost. Mira glanced at Emma, then back to him. "Mommy told us about you. She said you didn't know. She never blamed you, just said you didn't know." The simplicity of her words made his heart quake. They were true. He hadn't known. But could ignorance excuse the pain they carried? Could not knowing erase the nights they went hungry, the mornings they scrubbed floors while other kids played? His fists clenched, not at Marina, but at himself for never searching, for letting time bury a love he should have fought for. His mind raced, imagining Marina lying in a hospital bed, fighting for breath alone, while his daughters scrubbed gym floors to pay for her care. His voice cracked. "I should have known. I should have looked for her. For you." Turning fully to them, eyes glistening, heart aching, he whispered, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. But now I do. I'll never leave again. I promise." Emma reached for his hand, fingers wrapping around his larger ones. That simple act, the trust, the forgiveness, sent a silent sob through his body. The car rolled on through the city, but inside time stood still, a father meeting his daughters, not with celebration, but with aching regret and newfound love. Nearing the hospital, Aiden stared at the looming building, fear and hope tangled inside like storms. He knew he wasn't ready for what awaited, but he had to face it. "Take me to your mommy," he said softly, repeating the words that ended his mourning and began his new life. The girls nodded. Mira pointed to the entrance, voice tight. "She's in ICU. They say she's very sick." A shiver ran up his spine. "ICU?" That word alone sent his pulse racing. The car stopped. He opened the door for the girls with gentle hands like he'd done it all his life. They walked hand in hand across the hospital's white lobby, Aiden in the middle, flanked by two daughters he'd never known, but already loved deeper than he thought possible. The elevator ride was silent except for soft dings marking floors. Aiden stared at his reflection warped in the metal, his resolve hardened like steel. He had spent his life running from emotions, bearing vulnerability beneath success and power, but none of that mattered now. What mattered was the woman he lost, the daughters he found, and the life he needed to reclaim. On the ICU floor, a nurse looked up, startled to see the billionaire CEO holding hands with two little girls. "Marina?" Aiden's voice caught. "I'm here for Marina." She pointed down the hall. "Room 416. His feet moved before thought, the girls gripping tighter. At the door he stopped, staring at the nameplate. Marina Hale. The name echoed every heartbeat of that single unforgettable night, pounding now like destiny's drum. He looked at his daughters, then the door. "Stay close," he whispered, opening it, heart wide, soul raw, ready to meet the woman who gave him a family and the chance to become the man he never was, but longed to be. The hallway was quiet, but Aiden's heartbeat thundered in his ears, the sterile scent and quiet beeps mixing with the breathless ache inside. Without hesitation, he reached down and Aiden lifted Emma and Mira into his arms, their small bodies clinging to him as if they had always belonged there. Tears slipped down his cheeks, not from weakness, but from a flood of emotions he could no longer hold back. Without a word, he carried them through the hospital halls, his grip firm yet gentle, lips brushing their hair in a silent vow to protect them from the pain that had fractured their world. Outside, his luxury car gleamed in the morning light. The valet rushed to open the door, but Aiden didn't flinch. He buckled the girls into the back seat with trembling hands and climbed in behind the wheel, his soul a storm of fear, guilt, and desperate determination. The engine roared to life, tires screeching faintly as they surged into city traffic. But all Aiden could think of was Marina, the fragile woman in ICU, whose name was etched in his heart like a scar. The one fighting for breath, unaware he had finally come. The twins sat silently, fingers linked, occasionally glancing at the rearview mirror where Aiden's eyes flicked between the road and them. His jaw clenched, burdened by everything missed, everything ignored, and the crushing fear of losing her before making things right. When they reached the hospital again, Aiden didn't wait. He threw open the door, scooped up the girls, and raced down the hall to room 416. His heart shattered at the sight of Marina, thinner, paler, fragile, and hooked up to machines that beeped softly in the stillness. He set the girls down gently. They curled up together in the chair, silent but steady anchors. Sitting beside Marina, Aiden whispered apologies and promises into the quiet room, his fingers warming hers. Hours passed in silence, broken only by nurses' soft footsteps and the steady beep of machines. The twins dozed in their chair, their presence a steady reminder of what was at stake. Aiden refused food or rest, choosing instead to speak memories, regrets, and hopes aloud. "I'm here now," he vowed, voice thick with emotion. "I'm never leaving again." As night fell, the hospital room became a fragile sanctuary of hope. Aiden traced Marina's face with tired eyes, memorizing the delicate curve of her cheek, holding on to the last flicker of life and love. He thought of all he lost, 6 years, birthdays, first steps, but now with the twins in his arms, he vowed to be the father they deserved and the partner Marina needed. When they finally returned home, Aiden carried the girls through the marble-floored penthouse, a place once cold and empty, now transformed by promise. He knelt between them, brushing curls from their foreheads, and whispered, "This is your home now. Everything here, the walls, the light, every heartbeat, is yours too." With gentle care, he led them through the grand penthouse, letting their fingers brush velvet drapes, thick rugs, and the untouched piano in the corner. Their soft, curious laughter filled the room, the most beautiful sound it had ever known. He showed them a lavender-walled bedroom, twin beds freshly made by his assistant, who'd moved like lightning after his call. The girls skipped inside, giggling as they dove into fluffy pillows, holding on to this sudden comfort like it might disappear. Aiden stood quietly in the doorway, his heart swelling with a joy he couldn't explain, tears welling in his eyes. After helping them out of their borrowed janitor uniforms and folding them carefully aside, he ran a warm bubble bath, adding lavender oil, filling the air with childhood peace. The girls splashed and laughed, their voices echoing softly as he knelt beside the tub, trembling as he washed their silky hair, a tangible reminder of the life he helped create. Dressed in soft cotton pajamas dotted with stars and moons, the girls trusted him enough to let him gently comb their tangled hair, murmuring apologies every time they flinched. Dinner was spaghetti, their favorite, whispered in the car, eaten hungrily but with cautious glances to make sure he wouldn't disappear like a dream. After brushing their teeth, he carried each to bed, tucking them under blankets that seemed too big for their small frames. Their eyes sparkled with peace. "Want a story?" he asked, reading softly about a lost prince finding his family. As their eyelids fluttered closed, he kissed their foreheads and whispered, "You can call me Daddy if you want." Mira climbed into his lap, whispering, "We already do." His heart broke wide open. Holding them close, tears falling freely, he promised, "I'm here. I won't leave again." Time paused in that penthouse. Just a father holding his daughters for the first time. No past mistakes, no fears, only togetherness. Later at the hospital, Aiden sat beside Marina's bed, holding her hand through the long night. Machines beeped quietly as she stirred awake, confusion in her eyes softening into recognition when she saw him. "Aiden," she whispered, fragile and unsure. He knelt beside her, voice trembling. "It was the ring. I saw it and knew it was you. I missed everything. You, the girls. I'm so sorry." Tears streamed down their faces as she asked, "You have them?" He nodded, holding her hand tightly. "They're safe. They're home with me." He pulled her close, whispering apologies over and over, promising never to leave again. She clung to him, love unspoken but deeply felt. In that quiet room beneath moonlight and machines, a new beginning bloomed. Two broken hearts finding their way back to each other, held together by fragile hope and endless love. He brought her tea in her favorite mug. The way he kissed the crown of her head felt instinctive, like something he'd always known. It was laughter returning to a place long empty, a place that had only known tears. It was the beginning of something she thought she'd never feel again: belonging, love, a home. That evening, the room was cloaked in a serene hush. Aiden sat beside her bed, elbows on knees, watching her and the girls with an intensity that stole her breath. Silence stretched between them, heavy with unspoken words, until finally he murmured, "You gave me something priceless, Marina, a chance to love." She turned, meeting his gaze with a faint smile, pale but glowing with resilience. "You gave me memories I lived on for 7 years," she whispered. "That night gave me our daughters. It gave me hope. Even when I hated you for not being there, I carried those memories like light." His throat tightened. He took her hand, now warm and pulsing, brushing his thumb over her knuckles. Pressing his lips to her forehead, he vowed softly, "Let's make new memories. Not from the past, but from every day, all four of us." Her eyes closed, letting his words wash over the pain and silence of lost years. Her hand squeezed his, a silent promise echoing his own. The girls stirred, mumbling in sleep, curling into her side. Aiden gently covered them, tucking their favorite bunny beneath a small arm. Tears welled in Marina's eyes. He hadn't just claimed them, he loved them fully, as if they'd always been his. Sitting back, never letting go of her hand, he said quietly, "I miss so much. Their first steps, first words, birthdays I'll never get back. But if you'll let me, I'll never miss another moment. I want it all. To be there for their first tooth, their first love, their graduations. I want to embarrass them with hugs. Dance with you at midnight when they're asleep. I want everything I gave up. But this time, I'll fight for it." Her tears fell freely. He wiped them gently, voice steady and sure. "You're not alone anymore, Marina. None of you are." Outside, the hospital slept under a deepening night, but inside something powerful pulsed between them. Love, raw and real, built from forgiveness and truth. The next morning, golden sunlight spilled through the window. Marina awoke to the soft whispers of her daughters and the steady presence of Aiden, still holding her hand. Today she was going home, not to the lonely apartment of her past, but to a new life full of love and promises. At the hospital entrance, a sleek black car waited. The chauffeur bowed respectfully as Aiden gently helped Marina out, careful of her healing body, never letting her feel weak, only treasured. The girls ran ahead, giggling, coats swirling in the breeze. Aiden watched with a soft smile before turning to Marina. "Ready?" he asked quietly, fingers brushing hers. She took a breath, whispering, "Only if you're with me." He kissed her temple, leading her inside, warmth trailing his every touch. At the penthouse, the space had transformed. Soft floral arrangements lined the hallway, and a handmade banner read, "Welcome home, Mommy," adorned with hearts and colorful letters. The girls squealed with delight, pulling Marina forward, until Aiden swept her into his arms, carrying her across the threshold like a bride, heart pounding with all he felt. Staff greeted them with bouquets and gentle smiles. Overwhelmed, Marina rested her head on Aiden's shoulder as he whispered, "This is your home now." Days passed, and the penthouse became their sanctuary. Aiden tended to Marina's recovery with loving care, cooking soup, fluffing pillows, sitting by her bedside to brush her hair and share memories she never knew he kept. The girls filled the halls with laughter and drawings, lying beside her with stories and dreams. One evening, wrapped in a shawl on the balcony with cocoa in hand, Marina listened as Aiden spoke softly. "Remember that night at the lake? You said stars reminded you of hope." She smiled, eyes bright. "You said you didn't believe in hope back then." "I didn't, but I do now, because after all the years, the silence and pain, you're here, and you're laughing again." She chuckled softly. "It feels strange, happy again, like I belong somewhere." "You don't just belong," he said, turning to her. "You are the heart of this home. Everything changed the moment you stepped in." She reached for his hand, fingers intertwining. "Promise me you won't let go this time." "I swear," he whispered, pressing her hand to his lips. "Never again." That night, the penthouse glowed softly. The city lights twinkled below. The girls slept under pink blankets, cheeks flushed from a day full of joy. Marina stood on the terrace, bathed in moonlight and golden lanterns, unaware of the moment unfolding behind her. Aiden stepped forward, heart pounding, holding a small velvet box. Not for show, but for the promise inside. A lifetime of healing, love, and home. Behind him, the girls giggled, rose petals in hand, ready to witness the beginning of their forever. Under the starlight, his shirt sleeves rolled up, collar open, vulnerability softened his gaze as it met hers. "Aiden?" she whispered, voice trembling with uncertainty. He stopped before her, taking her hands gently, their silence speaking volumes, heart to heart. "I've rehearsed this moment 100 times," he breathed, voice low. "But now you're here. Every word I planned feels small compared to what I feel." Curiosity bloomed in her eyes, but before she could speak, he knelt. Her breath caught, hands flying to her lips. "Aiden," she gasped. Behind them, the twins crept out, arms full of rose petals and a tiny box shimmering with a sapphire ring. They presented the flowers, then the ring, like a precious treasure. "You're the love I never forgot," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Mother of my angels, whose absence shaped my soul, and whose return healed it all." The girl stood beside him, clutching her skirt, bright-eyed. "I thought I lost you forever, but you came back. You brought light, laughter, and peace to a man who never thought he deserved a second chance." Her knees trembled, hands over her heart, tears spilled as emotions overwhelmed her. "Will you marry me?" he asked, opening the velvet box. The sapphire sparkled under the lantern's glow, a deep blue like the night sky. Her voice caught in tears, lips trembling, but she nodded, whispering, "Yes." The girls squealed, tossing petals like a shower of stars. Aiden slipped the ring on her finger. Perfect, like it had waited a lifetime. He pulled her close, holding her as if to keep forever safe. "Do you know how long I've waited for this?" he whispered. "Longer than you should have," she replied, "but just long enough to mean everything." They kissed, a kiss not just of love, but of healing, hope, and unbroken promises. Around them, the twins danced and sang of weddings and dreams. Aiden laughed softly. "They've already planned the whole ceremony, haven't they?" She smiled through tears. "I wouldn't be surprised if they wrote a guest list too." He brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. "Then let's give them a wedding worth remembering, a love worth living." She leaned her forehead to his. "You already have." Above, the stars shimmered. Below, the city whispered blessings. They stood wrapped in light and love, a quiet promise of forever. Each touch was a silent vow of love. Marina's breath caught as Aiden's lips brushed her forehead. Her eyelids then claimed hers in a kiss both fierce and tender. A kiss that spoke of years dreaming of this moment, a love grown stronger through every trial. Their bodies moved in perfect harmony, a slow dance of desire and devotion. Aiden's hands memorized every inch of her skin. Marina's fingers tangled in his hair, pulling him closer as waves of warmth rose between them. Tears fell, not from sorrow, but from overwhelming love and healing. He gently wiped them away, eyes shining with unshed tears. "You're safe now," he whispered. "I'm here. I'm yours." In the quiet night, time slowed. Their whispered dreams and tender kisses wove a tapestry of belonging and hope. Aiden's lips traced her neck, igniting fires long smoldering. Marina's soft moans mingled with the steady beat of his heart beneath her palm. Together they found sanctuary, a sacred ceremony of reunited hearts, forgiveness, and passion tempered with tenderness. Tears of release and hope fell freely as Aiden held her close. "Let me love you," he said, voice breaking. "Let me be the man who makes you whole." She nodded, heart full of trust. They became more than the husband and wife. They became halves of a whole, bound by love, redemption, and unyielding devotion. Morning light brought new beginnings. Their days were filled with shared smiles, playful dances, and the simple joy of family. Aiden carefully prepared their daughters for school, spinning tales of brave princesses and knights, while Marina watched with pride and gratitude. Their home blossomed with laughter, warmth, and love. Mornings in the kitchen, evenings reading stories by lamplight, weekends picnicking under open skies. All moments stitched into a life far richer than either had dreamed. Challenges came, but together they faced them with steady hearts and unwavering devotion. Nights were filled with quiet closeness, hands entwined, hearts beating as one. Beneath the stars on the rooftop, the family lay wrapped in blankets, sharing dreams and stories written in the constellations. Their love deepened, evolving with every passing day. Marina and Aiden's journey was not just survival, it was flourishing. Every tear, every struggle had led to a love that was patient, kind, and eternal. Together with their daughters, they stepped into forever, a real, enduring happily ever after, written in the everyday magic of being truly, deeply, and unconditionally loved.